Hello again, everyone. Mr. Johnson here. I figured I'd stay off camera today as I'm having a bad hair day. Okay, so review from last week. We were introduced to the electromagnetic spectrum, which features a whole bunch of different types of light. From the long side, we have radio waves. Over to the other side, we have the rays that created the Incredible Hulk, gamma rays, much more violent and powerful. In the middle, everything that we see on a day-to-day basis exists within the visible light spectrum: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. Roy G. Biv, if you were taught that as a youngster. And all of these different rays here are light, even though we only really think about light as what we see. But there are many types of light that we don't see. Okay, so we talked about waves. And electromagnetic waves are special in that they can travel through a vacuum, which means they don't need a medium like water or air to allow them to travel. So they can travel through empty space. Unlike a water wave or a sound wave, requires some sort of medium. Okay, so let's catch up to the video here. We have wavelength is measured from crest to crest. That would be one wavelength. Crest is the top part of the wave. The trough is the bottom part of the wave. Just kind of like the eaves trough on your house is the part that catches rain and it dips down. So that's one way to remember the trough. Crest of a wave is the top part that you ride on if you're a surfer. Okay, and the last thing I think I'm trying to show here frantically with my mouse is that the number of waves that pass by a certain point in a given amount of time, usually a second, we refer to as frequency. And so if you have one wave pass by in 1 second, that's called 1 hertz, named after Heinrich Hertz, famous scientist involved in the study of waves. Not because it hurts when it hits you. Most electromagnetic waves don't hurt when they hit you. They can pass right through your body. Some do damage, like gamma rays. Others pass right through you without any effect. Okay, so let's move on and talk quickly about one of my favorite topics, the speed of light. So let's compare it to other speeds. The speed of sound is approximately 343 meters in 1 second. So about a par 4 golf hole. A bullet travels about twice that fast, 762 meters per second, obviously depends on the type of weapon. And then we have light. And so as you can see here, light puts those other two to shame. Light travels at approximately 300 million meters per second. Or, to put that in a bit more context, about 7.5 times around the diameter, or the equator, I should say, the equator of the Earth. So light, as far as we know, is the fastest thing possible in the universe. And Einstein sort of became famous for debating people who would question that. All right, so what I'm drawing here is a very scientific diagram of the sun. So when a light ray leaves the sun, or if you're looking at the sun, which you shouldn't do unless you have protective eye gear, the sun is approximately 150 million kilometers away. And so the light that leaves the sun and travels to your eye takes about 8 minutes and 20 seconds to get from the sun to your eye. So that's an incredibly big distance, 150 million kilometers, but the light travels at the speed of light, so it can cover that distance in 8 minutes and 20 seconds. When you look at the moon, light is reflected by the moon from the sun to your eye and it takes about 1.3 seconds for that light to get to you. So you can do the math, and that tells you that it's approximately a little more than 300,000 kilometers away. Because remember, light travels about 300,000 kilometers in a second, 300 million meters. So here's a fun little fact. Everything that you look at is technically in the past. So your friend who's 3 meters away following proper social distancing guidelines, the light that reflects off your friend into your eye takes a few billionths of a second or a few nanoseconds to reach you. Now, the whole purpose of this video was to talk about what is a light year, or at least that was the purpose in my head. And I'm going to save that to next week. So I hope everyone is doing well. There will be instructions to follow to complete this week's assignment below. Thank you very much.